Right, guys. Hi, I'm Dan. I work as a build tooling engineer at ING and continuous integration for iOS. And I'm going to talk about automating stuff. Incidentally, Antoine and me did not sync beforehand. So you're going to see some danger stuff repeating. But I'm going to slide over those things to go quickly as to how you can use danger and how we use danger ourselves. And the awesome stuff you can do with it. So a few years ago, actually many years ago, a guy made a public post about how they use Git and their Git flow. And I think you might recognize this image, but they describe their branching mechanism and their release management. And I want to have a closer look at Git flow and focusing on Git flow, not on this image, but on this one. We're going to focus on the main branches as you develop your software and what things you can automate in it. So what kind of stuff you can take and automate so you make your life easier. So under Git flow, you would have a development branch where all your features would go in. You'd start your pink feature branches. You'd finish them and merge them back to develop. Maybe you'd merge a second feature into develop. Then once your development is done, with Git flow, you would usually create a release branch and then make 1 or 2 hot fixes, maybe, hopefully not. You would tag them usually, right? So get tagged so you can get back to them. And eventually you would merge back to develop. And there are a few more things in Git flow that I'm sure you know about, but we're going to focus on this and see what kinds of things we can automate here. So what can we do to automate and make our lives easier? Well, for one thing, we can ignore the feature branches for now and just look at the main development and release branch. I'm going to assume that you have a release branch that lasts for some time, a few days at least. So you fix bugs, you try to submit to Apple, Apple says invalid binary, you change a string, and now your certificates are broken, you try again and again and again and again. So you're going to make a few iterations. So what do you want to do on the development branch? Like what kind of automation do you want to put in place there? Well, you want to run unit tests continuously on the development branch. Maybe you want to run them for every commit. Maybe if you don't have enough build time, you want to run them every hour, so every day. Then what you want to do is you want to run UI tests on many devices. And you want to run them on development branch as well, right? So you want to make sure that as you're developing features, you don't accidentally break stuff. You don't accidentally break flows in your app. What's the next thing you want to do? Well, what you want to do is you want to try to make a release build of your app without actually publishing it from develop. Why do you want to do that? Well, suppose you're working for a month on features, and then you try to make a release on a Friday night, and you can't. And you didn't know that because you didn't have something telling you that you couldn't make a release 30 days ago. So you're going to try and make a release build every day, and you want to make that simple, like a script that makes a release build. Once you have that in place, you can know in advance when your ability to make your app just breaks and you cannot make a build anymore. So that's for develop. Now, what do we want to do for the release branch? Well, we kind of want to do the same thing. We want to run unit tests, because in case like you fix a bug and you broke half of your features, you want to know that. You want to run UI tests on multiple devices again. And you also want to be able to make builds and to upload to TestFlight or to Hockey app. And you want to do that automatically, right? You don't want to spend 4 hours or 8 hours. You just want to click a button and it's done. And what my talk is going to focus on is how you're going to do that like really, really quickly and really easily. This is the kind of thing that when I'm new when I change jobs, I'm new at job, first 7 days, this is what I do. I just create this from scratch. And it's quite easy, and I'm surprised how easy it is. And I'm going to assume prior knowledge of Fastlane, but it's not necessary. So in case you're not familiar with it, Fastlane is a command line tool that allows you to build your app, run unit tests, run UI tests rather easily. You can use other tools as well, that's fine. But Fastlane, for the simplicity, it's really simple to use it. So you don't need to learn a lot. It's a low entry barrier. All right, and one more thing, we're going to focus on the feature branches. So one of the things that happens in teams with many developers is you often break the development branch. If you have 10 developers, you know it. Someone breaks the unit tests, and then everyone is complaining. Or someone breaks, the project doesn't compile anymore. And who did that? Let's revert that. No, don't do that again. Did you check? Why didn't you run unit tests? And stuff like that. So one of the things that you can do is you can send a notification to your build server I'm going to see how we do that. But you can set a notification, and the build server can approve each commit. So it can say, this commit is green, and it builds. And if it's not, you can't merge. We built this something like this. And for before that, we would break our main development branch quite often. After that, 6 months, we didn't break our development branch even once. And it was one day, a single day in March, when we had to disable it. And that exact day, someone broke development. So the idea here is that you want to build tools that make your life easier. And especially when you have a lot of developers, breaking development can be intrusive and can be disruptive for everyone in the team. So this is how the commits are marked in GitLab or in GitHub. So each commit gets a check mark if it builds or not. But you can do much more with that with Danger. So Danger's motto, you saw that already. It's stop saying you forgot to. So everything that you ever said, stop saying you forgot to, you can do with Danger. This is the default thing it does. We saw that this screenshot already. This is some of the things we do. So for example, we run SwiftLint, and it's going to tell us when we break our own rules inside the merge request itself, or pull request if you're using GitHub. This is another thing we do. So Danger has some plugins, and it allows you to, for example, parse Xcode build warnings. So as your project compiles, we're going to do that for each commit. And we're going to take all the warnings and display them in Danger. And this is automagic. So you get the ability to click on the link and go to the file, the exact position in the source code where the warning was introduced. So another thing that we can do is, because Danger has access to the GitHub and bitbucket and GitLab plugins, we can update merge request titles. So whenever we detect a new warning in a merge request, we're going to update your merge request title, and we actually do this. So we're going to say, this merge request has new warnings. And you can do much more than this. And this is, again, really simple to do. So you don't need to hack your own API request. You just say GitLab.merge request update title, and you give it a new title. This is our Danger file. So we update merge request titles. We run SwiftLint. If you don't update your merge request description, this is the third box, we're going to detect that, and we're going to warn developers, it looks like you didn't update your merge request description. Maybe you want to do that. Or another thing we do, we automatically label our branches. So Danger has access to that, so it's able to apply labels to branches. So how are we going to build that? This is the part where we actually build it. So we build it from scratch in 24 hours. And of course, your mileage will vary. And if you have a really complex app, this will take a lot longer. But if it's a simple app, it's going to be easy. So first thing we want to do is install Jenkins. We download the installer. We run it. This is the home page of Jenkins. Nothing special. All you need to do this is a Mac. You install Jenkins on a Mac. Second thing is we're going to create jobs. And jobs are automation tasks. So run unit tests, run UI tests, stuff like that. So let's try and create jobs. First ones, we're going to create the easy ones, the unit and UI test jobs. So what do you have to do to create a job that runs unit and UI tests continuously? Well, it's quite easy. You set the repository URL and the branch specifier branch you want to use. And then you tell Jenkins what command to run your unit tests, for example. It's as easy as saying Fastlane scan ---- scheme and your unit test scheme from Xcode, right? You now run unit tests. Well, we also want to run UI tests on different devices, remember, right? So we want to say Fastlane scan this is a typo, -- scheme, my UI test scheme, and then give it the device, iPad Air, iPhone 5s, iPhone 4, iPhone 5s, parentheses, iOS 9, stuff like that. This is all possible with Xcode build for all of the fans of low-level tools out there. It's not necessary that you use Fastlane, but for brevity, it's easier like this. So we're going to do this. We're going to create a unit test job on the develop one on release. We're going to create UI test jobs for the development branch and for the release branch. And we're going to create quite a few of them. What we end up with is a list of jobs. So they are named. And what we want to do now is, it's pointless if you have just created a few jobs and now they're on a server somewhere. Like, you want to be able to view them. You want to get into the office every morning and say, let me see how my CI setup is doing. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the build monitor plugin in Jenkins. You install it easily. It's 2 clicks. And then we're going to press the plus button. You see it in the middle of the screen. There's a small plus button. And that allows you to create a monitoring board. You just select the jobs that you want to put in a dashboard, and boom, you get this. So now we have a dashboard. It shows us the jobs that are running, the jobs that have failed. You can click on the title and go into the job description. You can see why it failed, which UI tests failed, what happened. You can also have test coverage in here. You can have a lot of stuff, but we're going to focus on the simple things today. So the top part, the first four, I see iPad Pro, iPhone 4S, iPhone 6s, iPhone 7 Plus. These are jobs that I configured to run on the development branch. So at a glance, I know how my development branch is doing. The next four, release iPad Air, release iPad Pro, release iPhone 5s, and 7 Plus. These are UI test jobs that run on the release branch. So now I know what my release branch is doing. Is it healthy or not? Ideally, on the development branch, I want to see 1 or 2 red devices. Maybe some tests are flaky. But on the release branch, I really want to see them all green. And this is something you really want, because, yeah, that's the main point of having UI tests. If they're broken, you want to fix them on the release branch. You can't release otherwise. Of course, you want to run unit tests on the development branch and unit tests on the release. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a job that makes a build of our app. We want to do so from the development branch continuously without publishing, and from the release branch with publishing. Let's do that. It's going to be really easy. So this is the release builder job. What we're going to do is we're going to configure it to run every day at 3 o'clock. So every day it's going to pull the source control management system. This is default in Jenkins, so you install it and you don't need to configure anything. And you set this cron tab, and what you get is every day at 3 o'clock it's going to pull your release branch and see, are there new commits? If there are new commits, it's going to start a new build. Incidentally, Jenkins will also create, so this is one way to start the job, but you can also start the job like this. You can choose which branch you want to build from. So if you want to make a release from any of your branches, this is a plugin. You can just select, use the Git plugin, and that's it. You can select which branch you want to build from. That's quite easy. So how are we going to make a build and upload to Hockey or to TestFlight? Well, the command in Fastlane to make builds is Fastlane gem. So it's going to archive our app and produce a signed IPA. The command to upload our IPA to TestFlight is Fastlane pilot. Just takes an IPA, uploads it to TestFlight, that's it. Of course, in reality, your mileage will vary. You'll have multiple configurations of your app, and you'll have to do a little bit more than this. Another thing is we want to create a merge request builder. Now, this is the one that runs for each merge request and executes danger for us and tells us if our commits are green or not, so if they build or not. And let's see how we're going to do that. Well, you use the GitHub, bitbucket, or GitLab plugin, and you say, well, I want to build every time a change is pushed to my source control management system. We're going to do that. And here we want to run unit tests, and we want to execute danger. So you saw danger in the previous talk as well. This is how you execute it. Say bundle exec danger, and you execute it, and it runs on your merge request. And we want to publish the results back to GitLab. So the plugin in Jenkins allows you to automatically publish the results back to GitLab. This is one of the things we see in practice, how it looks. This is danger will generate a full comprehensive report of what happened with your merge request. And so before other developers can come in, you can quickly fix up all of these issues. Of course, danger has a huge list of plugins. Well, not quite huge. One of the ones I'm also a fan of, as WeTransfer is using it, is the code coverage plugin, which I want to use. But of course, you need a way to track code coverage for previous builds to be able to make a delta. Is this code coverage increasing or decreasing? So danger is like autopilot for your code. One of the things you can do with danger are really insane. Like you can, if you detect that your merge request description includes the following string, danger, please run UI tests. You can also run UI tests. Or if you ask danger to make, if you write in your merge request description that, hey, danger, please make a build of my app. Danger can automatically post a link in your merge request. Hey, here's the build of your app. Send it to your testers and test it automatically. Or crazy things you can do. You can open the storyboard. If in the diff of the merge request you find the storyboard, open it up in another process, take a screenshot, attach it to danger, and send it back to the developer so the reviewers can see the storyboard rendered inside the merge request. You can do all kinds of awesome stuff with danger, and the possibilities are unlimited. I see it getting a lot of traction. And so I'm going to review what kind of stuff we can build. So again, unit and UI tests, making builds from the development branch, unit and UI tests, and automatically building and uploading from the release branch, and we get each commit tested. our main branches are healthy, we continuously monitor their health, and we get this awesome dashboard as a bonus. That's it. You can find me here. I blog about continuous integration and all kinds of stuff like this and parallel UI tests. And I have a silly Twitter handle. Questions?
Are you going to open source your config? I would be interested.
No. It's not that complex. I don't think it's quite different from other people's config file. So, but if I find that it adds some value, definitely.
Awesome. Other question?
Yes.
I have a question about the example you gave, which is mainly about one repo.
Yeah.
And one of the problems I encounter in a Stack job is that we integration tests between different services hosted in different repos. It's something that we struggle with and that we would like to do better. Do you have any advice on how we could implement that better and can Dentro help us with that?
So I want to get this straight. So what kind of setup do you have? Do you have different apps in different repos, or do you have different servers in different repositories?
Let's call it microservices.
Across different repos? So what's the challenge that you're experiencing right now? What are the issues?
For example, if you change something in one repo, you might break it. So if you generate some JSON in one repo that is intended to be read in the other repo,
yeah.
If you drastically change the schema, as it were, in one of the repos, then it will obviously break in the other one.
Okay.
And it's difficult to test this across repos.
Yeah, I know. I think some large companies do, and I can't name names, but they basically have different repositories for different pieces of software they build, and every night they run a nightly task that assembles them, clones them all, assembles them and tests them together, and in the morning sends results back to developers like, hey, you from this framework broke this feature. And that's quite an interesting approach. And when you have things like that depend upon each other, I think it's a really good way of doing it. I really like that. So I'd recommend doing that. You can clone multiple repos and in different folders, and then trying to run tests against them and see if they're broken or not. And at least in the morning, you can know if the tests are green or not. Maybe you can't say which one, who's to blame. Yeah. Yeah, but you can do really awesome stuff there. We are going through a modularization effort, splitting our code base across repositories. And we're going to have some of these challenges, and we're actively working on fixing some of them. Yes.
So what's your hardware setup like? You said you have your own install of Jenkins. Does that mean you have a local Mac running on your local network that's always connected to the internet, or?
A Mac running on local network, yes. Connected to the internet, no. Jenkins is run inside a Mac OS machine. It's no longer on one of our own Macs, but used to be on a Mac we had locally, like a Mac Pro or an iMac. But one of the things you can do, so if you see here, there's a lot of jobs and they need to run continuously, right? So you can easily see them overflowing and just not having enough build time. I mean, just running UI tests takes 40 minutes or 30 minutes or 20. So when do you get time to build other stuff? And what Jenkins allows you is to connect multiple build nodes that just do builds. So you can run these things in parallel. Just with a single, launch a single file on a colleague's iMac that you want to use as a build node without him knowing. And boom, you're running a unit test and UI test on his iMac. He won't even know it. Or just put it in a VM so he doesn't see the simulator popping up. True story.
GitHub, or I don't know if you use GitHub, but that triggers the builds, right?
Yeah.
So those machines have to be connected to the internet.
Yeah, if you're using GitHub, yes.
Okay.
If you're hosting your own
Yeah.
repository, yeah, then you can use a local machine. But in that case, yeah, you need to connect it to the internet, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was wondering because we have a setup where we cannot use Jenkins because we cannot.
There's a lot of nicer continuous integration servers out there that I would recommend. Some of them are free, and some of them are really expensive.
Free tools for Mac software?
Yeah, for open source projects.
Open
That's why you should have them open source, because it's free, right? Yes?
So how long does it take for you to build a merge request? And do you get a lot of complaints about it?
If it takes a long time.
Yeah, because, yeah.
Awesome question. I spent quite some time on figuring that out. So a merge request to build takes 3 minutes, run unit tests, say 3 more. So it's 6 minutes, right?
Okay,
That's per commit per merge request. Each commit in every merge request gets built. So you can imagine if you have 15 people, they are going to push quite some amount of work. So we used to have a long queue about you have to wait 30 minutes in the queue. So Jenkins provides this stats by default, how much time a merge request waits in the queue before it's built. So what we did is we just added a few more Mac Minis. And they are quite fast, as opposed to what you would think. So you can add a few Mac Minis, and the builds just run in parallel on every machine. So we could have as many as 5 or 6 merge requests, or 4. In reality, we had 4 just running in parallel. So we could handle quite a huge load. Maybe 20 or 30 developers would be fine as well with that. That's why I encourage everyone to commit less often. Yes?
Why do you test every commit rather than the end result?
Well, it's an interesting question. So as a developer, when you're working on a feature, on your feature branch, you like to know in advance when you're, if you broke unit tests in a specific commit. That's useful to know, right? You might want to know that. But in the end, all that counts is if your merge request is buildable at the end, right? It doesn't matter the intermediary steps. So what we do is the plugin here allows you to ignore work in progress merge requests. So you can, if you prefix your merge request with work in progress, it doesn't get built. You work on it for as long as you want, and at the end, when you're ready to merge it, you remove a prefix and it gets built. So that's something you can do to not build every commit of every merge request.
But does a merge request not have 10 commits? Like, it might not every commit is not. I'm normally calling them pull requests, I guess.
Yeah, it's the same name. Yeah, usually it has a few. I don't have the stats with me.
But what I mean is, sometimes like if you're doing a refactor, maybe not all the tests pass until the end of that refactor.
Yeah, that makes sense. When we'll reach our build capacity, we'll definitely consider only building the last commit, because I agree it makes sense. Yeah. So.
Why is it useful to know at each stage?
Yeah, I just think so when we have long-running features, you want to know as soon as possible when you broke unit tests, because sometimes you find out 7 days after you actually broke them, and by then it's far too late, and you need to increase your estimate. Yeah.
So if you push 3 commits, does it really test each of these 3 commits, or just the last one?
Yeah. So it attempts to be smart, and it's going to bunch the events together and make one build. Right. But it's flaky, so sometimes it triggers really 3. Okay. But thankfully not 4, not more than 3. So.
We're canceling all the jobs on a new commit. Right.
Sorry?
We're canceling the old jobs.
You're canceling them manually.
Because they're not needed anymore. Only the last one is.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What CI server, continuous integration server, do you guys use?
We use Travis.
Yes, great choice.
Is it expensive?
Travis, is it expensive?
You should ask.
It's very expensive.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw you have like an example from 6 to 8 jobs, but and I saw some configurations you made in the script.
Mm-hmm.
But what will happen if you decide to change all those jobs, for instance, some credentials changed, for instance. So you should go through all the jobs and change the script, for instance, just Fastlane dash change something, blah 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 blah. Because we also had such issues in our environment, because we just copy paste these jobs and so on, and we need to change this. As for me, as for developer, it's much easier to tackle with some scripts rather than just like a lot of text boxes. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Do you have such experience?
Yes. Okay. I'm trying to not say too much. There's definite fix to this problem. So what happens is, usually in Jenkins you copy paste passwords and usernames all around, and then when one changes you need to change them all and you start hunting. So you shouldn't be. What you can do is save them in the Jenkins credential and just use them, reference them from there. So you don't need to change them. But also what you can do is keep most of your scripts in source control. And then you fix them all in one commit, make a new commit, and you've fixed that problem. I hope.
I was curious if you guys use Snapshot as well, because we had an issue where Snapshot would build again and not reuse the build we already did, which cost a lot of more time.
OK. So Snapshot is a Fastlane tool in the tool chain that takes screenshots. And we don't use it anymore. That's all I can say. I don't know why the issue happens.
Yeah. Well, there is not really a solution so far. We haven't found any.
What do you use it for? What?
We used to use it for screenshot generation, so our designers could review the PR as well and say the design is good or not. And we ended up removing it from all the pull requests and only do it for development. And with the idea of finally adding it to the screens over there, so everybody can see the progress of the app. That's the end goal.
Wow.
But because it takes so much extra time, we're still looking for a way to combine the build. Xcode
9 is going to improve the snapshot process. It's going to be awesome. Felix is working on it.
Yeah, we even asked him.
Oh, he's not hopeful? All right. Yes, Jelle.
I now use Bitrise as an online build server, which is pretty nice actually, kind of free if you don't use too many minutes.
How many free minutes?
I think you get 10 minutes for a build. So that's
okay. That's cool. That's cool.
I can send a referral link so I get more minutes. What surprised me in this is actually that I can build, of course, commits automatically. But if I create a pull request, apparently Bitrise takes this commit, it takes the develop branch, it tries to merge them, and runs on the merged code.
Yes.
Which makes a lot more sense to me than just running the latest commit.
We're also doing that.
All right.
But I'm trying to keep it simple. In practice, it makes sense to first merge to develop, because your commit individually might build, but merging to develop, it just doesn't merge. Tests failed. Of course, you know, tests. If you have a lot of unit tests and they're gonna mocking. You're gonna mock some other tests requests and they fail. So yes, merging to develop is definitely necessary.
That helps. Yeah.
We found, and I think we do that.
Break anyway.
Yeah. So you can build as much as you want, as long as you don't cross 10 minutes. You say.
Yes, and of course it's not the fastest server, so on your machine it might be 6 minutes and the build price might be like 9 minutes. But you can do tricks like caching things and pulling a caching in again, and then do a partial build and saving that to cache, and next time it builds, it pulls it in again.
Disable unit tests, run fast. Okay.
And it supports a lot of these tools. Like
Awesome.
Cool. I have to look into Danger now.
Yes.
Can you recommend some online tooling for the integration that runs Danger?
That runs Danger.
Travis,
but it doesn't. But it has Danger as an image, so pre-install on the images.
Well, you can install Danger or install Danger first.
Okay.
Use that. It's just a machine.
And also, I heard that I'm not sure if they're one of our sponsors, BodyBuild, but they provide a lot of this stuff out of the box. There's a fixed price for it, but a lot of those things you can do with 1 or 2 clicks. So you have to provide them access to your source. But once you do that, they just run unit UI tests jobs automatically, and they also give you a video what happened before your app crashed. So they have an SDK. So your app crashes, they're going to record a video with, I think, Replay Kit. Nice. Check this out, the framework that Apple uses for games, right? Record the video, and you're going to see your app crashed, and here's the video of what the user was doing before that, and they're going to point to the source line in the source line of code that crashed. So, yeah.
I think early builders even use the CocoaHeads app, which is open source.
Yeah.
We only implemented it, so I'm not too sure on the latest, but we could ask. So. Any more questions?
Yeah, I had one. We got like several tests failing, and we restarted, and it succeeds. And
UI test. UIs or unit?
Well, basically just the jobs, and it ends up in an error 65.
No.
Well, I was hoping to expect, like, many people have this, and it's like a discussion going on Twitter and stuff, and hopefully Xcode 9 fixes the error 65. I was wondering if you have the same issue sometimes.
So let me get this straight. I know a solution, and it might be the one, but I want to understand if this is the problem we're talking about. Do you have unit tests that fail or not?
At that moment, no.
But what causes the error 65? Is it during building or running tests?
I think it's building. Maybe some can fill it in, but I think it's building.
Oh,
and
you're on Travis.
Yeah.
So there's a long, you know the long forum page, that error 65 on Travis with Fastlane?
Mm-hmm.
There's a, yeah, I think it's a no issue with Travis, but actually we built quite a lot and we don't have it at all. So I would recommend changing CI servers and switch to bit.
Extra minutes, right?
Yeah, extra minutes. Because yeah, I think error 65 is default error for crashes, right? The Xcode build provides it when something crashes, goes error 65. That's like an unknown generic kind of error. So if one of your unit tests, for example, I want to say this: if your unit test will crash, it will say error 65, and then it's easy to fix. But if you have a random error 65, I do not have a solution to that.
Time to sharpen the saw again.
Yeah.
Keychain that is timed out.
Oh, yeah.
You can set the timeout for keychain longer. You can do that in the options for where you go to Fastlane command line.
Yeah.
You can set the keychain to have a longer expiry time.
Okay. Yeah, that's really sometimes works.
Yeah.
Thanks,